Hello and welcome to round 4 of the Team Up League Cup at the Claremont Pokemon League. We have Luke Yonkers on the left, who we've seen in previous matchups playing his Shrine of Punishment Malamar deck, versus Etienne playing a very rogue White Kyurem deck. So we'll talk through the cards as we go through the matchup. So we see Luke playing a Mysterious Treasure and dropping that Giratina. For those who don't know, Giratina's ability allows you to bring it back from the discard pile anytime during your turn, and when you do that you get to put 1 damage counter on 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon, so really ramping up the spread. And we see Luke drop down his Marshadow. So Marshadow's Let Loose ability is just like a judge. Each player shuffles their hand into the deck and draws 4 cards. We also see the skateboard on the Oxys. Obviously a skateboard being very popular at the moment with Jirachi. It's the tool that basically allows your Pokemon to have 1 less retreat cost, and it can also retreat while asleep and paralyzed. On Etienne's side of the field we see a Pheromosa. The Pheromosa is literally in this deck just for the free retreat. Let's see how the match plays out. We see another Mysterious Treasure from Luke. Luke taking another Inkay, really getting a good setup out of his first turn here. This variant of the Malamar deck does not play Tapu Lele GX, so we haven't seen a supporter from Luke, and it doesn't look like we're going to. He only has a Guzma in hand, so he passes over the turn. So looking very carefully at what Etienne plays, a very rogue deck and not as popular. We'll have to pay attention to what comes out here. We see a Fire Energy attached to the Pheromosa and a Lily for 5. Okay, let's see what Etienne can do with a fresh hand. We see an Ultra Ball, discarding a Water Energy and a Choice Band. Obviously Choice Band's not playing a factor in this matchup for either player. With discarding Water Energies in the deck really helps with water mechanics, with such trainers as Aqua Patch, allowing you to attach a Water Energy from the discard pile to one of your benched Water Pokemon. So that's also, we should see a bit of water discarding. We see Etienne go for the White Kyurem. So the White Kyurem's first attack for 2 energies, it does 30 damage and it allows you to discard a Stadium in play. Not really the key factor. The key factor is its second attack. So for 2 water energies and 1 colorless, it allows you to attack for 80 damage, and if he has a fire energy attached to him, it does an additional 80 damage. So it does 160 for 3 energies. And knowing a little bit about this build that Etienne is playing, it all ties down into the Arceus Prism. So Arceus Prism it's a colorless Pokemon for 1 energy. It does 30 damage, and it allows you to search your deck for 3 energies and attach it to your bench Pokemon in any way you like. No, I think it's to 1 Pokemon, excuse me. And that can only be done if you have a water, a grass and an electric Pokemon on your bench. So we'll see the Pheromosa and the Kyurem being 2 parts, and Etienne plays the Lost Thunder Zeb Striker in his deck as his electric Pokemon. So he's got a lot of the pieces together. Very interesting deck. It looks like Luke's Let Loose has put himself into a bit of trouble, not drawing any supporters yet. So we see Etienne play Cynthia. Etienne draws his 6. I think I see the Arceus Prism in his hand there. Pheromosa is also, as mentioned, has got free retreat, which is the grass Pokemon of choice. So we see him play down the Arceus Prism, touches a water energy to Arceus. Arceus, you guys must let me know if I'm pronouncing it wrong. You guys can let me know in the comments on YouTube. So we see him go, he plays the Blitzel. He's now got a water, a grass and an electric Pokemon down on the bench, so he uses the attack So it does 30 damage, and he gets to search for up to 3 basic energy cards and attach it to one of his bench Pokemon. Its Trinity Star is Arceus Prism's attack, and he's also got an ability called First Law, which basically prevents all effects of your opponent's attacks except damage done to this Pokemon, so he can't be affected by anything else besides damage. We see Luke draw, he's looking at his discard pile, he's got the Malamar down, uses Giratina's ability, snipes for 10 damage to 2 of Etienne's bench Pokemon. See the retreat into the Marshadow, Luke trying to preserve the Deoxys. And a pass. Luke really hitting a dead spell here. Etienne evolves into Zeb Striker. And we see a Cynthia for a full 6 cards. Etienne celebrating with his Cynthia there. A Zeb Striker, for those who don't know, he's got the ability called Sprint. Once during your turn, you may discard your hand and draw 4 cards. It really helps with the energy acceleration in the deck as well. With your hand potentially having water energies, discarding it and then aqua patching it back, I think it just adds a bit of acceleration. And obviously, as we know, he needs the electric Pokemon on his bench as well for the Trinity Star attack. Very interested to see how Etienne's going to play this turn out. He's going to retreat. He looks to go a little bit more aggressive at the moment. Sees Luke setting a dry spell, and we see him attack with the Kyurem for 160 for the knockout because of the fire energy attached. The attack he used is Freezing Flames. We see Luke draw. It looks like he drew a spell tag. Luke really not getting his way here. We see another retreat. Promoting the Giratina. He doesn't mind it getting knocked out because of the ability, the Distortion Gate, and obviously the spell tag. We see Etienne bench Kyogre. That is from Celestial Storm. He's really got me doing my research for this matchup. So he attaches a water energy to Kyogre, and we see Etienne knock out. No, Etienne plays a Guzma. Excuse me, Etienne plays a Guzma to the Malamar, free retreat on the Pheromosa, and it looks like he'll be taking a knockout on the Malamar. It's 160. So Kyogre, for those who don't know, he's got 130 HP. He does his first attack for 2 energies is Deal Splash. It does 30 to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon, active included. And for his second attack for 3 energies, the same energy count as Kyurem, he does 120 damage Grand Wave, and he can't use Grand Wave the following turn. Luke really hitting nothing here, really struggling. We see the retreat into Giratina and the pass. And Etienne Guzma's up another Malamar. Wow. Etienne really hitting stride. Promotes Pheromosa and retreats again. The free retreat really coming in handy. We're going to see anything else from Etienne this turn. We see a attachment from the hand. And the knockout on the second Malamar. 3 prizes down. Luke really needs to find something now. Luke promotes the Giratina once more, attaches an energy to the Deoxys, and passes. Etienne drawing for turn. Etienne just scanning through his discard pile, having a look at what's available for him. Eyeing out the water energy for an Aqua Patch, I think. Yep, we see the Aqua Patch attaches to the Kyogre on the bench. Plays another Kyurem from his hand. Then we see another knockout. So spell tag comes into play. For those who don't know what spell tag is, the tool, when attached to a psychic Pokemon, it allows you to put 4 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like when that psychic Pokemon is knocked out. We see Luke spreading the damage around using Giratina for that damage spread as well. We see another Malamar coming to play. Obviously Malamar being the key Pokemon in the deck, with his ability Psychic Recharge, allows you to attach psychic energy from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. Luke seems to have failed to find another psychic, so we see a retreat into Giratina again. Guzma out for the Kyurem with no energies, and Luke passes, hoping that Etienne doesn't have some form of switch, retreat, Guzma, any way to get that Kyurem out of the active. It looks like Etienne has another Guzma finding Malamars all day. We see him bring up the Kyurem once more. Shrine of Punishment playing down here. I think both players play Shrine of Punishment and it's really not going to do any good in this matchup. Choice Band obviously doing nothing either, but it just looks like Etienne's trying to play his hand down a bit for that Lily that I saw in his hand. And we see another attack from the Kyurem, really putting the work in, knocking out its third Malamar, and it looks like Luke scoops. So that's game 1 to Etienne. So what did we see in the matchup? So obviously Luke couldn't find any supporters beside the Guzma. He's really just showing his prizes. Nothing too dangerous there. I mean, there weren't any supporters of note in his discard pile. Really just struggling to get set up. Obviously the beauty with Malamar decks is once you get set up, the deck starts piloting itself basically. Very interesting deck that we see from Etienne here. Etienne really having an affinity for some of the rogue decks, and it's really proven that Arceus Prism really putting the work in. So very interesting matchup indeed. I think both these decks are aimed to counter GX based decks, more looking for the win in the prize trade-off. But yeah, it's very interesting to see how this game 2 is going to go, and will Luke be able to pull it back and see if he can turn this one around. But right now it's 1-0 to Etienne, so let's have a look. Again, while the players are setting up, I would just like to thank you all for watching the video, and if you love it, give a like, and if you want to see more content that we'll be putting up, please subscribe to the channel, and we really do appreciate it. Right, in game 2 is underway for the setup. You see Etienne finds a basic, looks like it was Kyurem. Luke finds a basic as well, so we can get this game 2 underway. Game 2, and here we go. Luke starts up with an Inkay. And let's see if Luke can get a better start this round. We see Luke eyeing out the Ultra Ball, and he's got that Giratina in his hand by the looks of things. Luke opts to discard 2 Psychic Energies instead with his Ultra Ball. Ultra Ball discarding 2 cards allows you to search for any Pokemon in your deck and put it into your hand. Really a staple in almost every deck in the current meta. Luke giving a quick skim through his deck there, and he takes out an Inkay. Obviously Luke trying to get his hand down as small as possible because he has that Lily in hand that I noticed. see Luke bench the Giratina. Very odd strategy here. No Lily for 7 cards. See Mysterious Treasure, Spell Tag, Deoxys. Looks like Luke's got a much better hand. He's got an Acrobike in hand as well. Definitely a much stronger hand this round. He's also got another supporter, very crucial. That's where Luke went wrong the last time. We see Mysterious Treasure from Luke, getting another Inkay. Mysterious Treasure, sorry if I have not covered it for those who don't know. Like Ultra Ball, you discard a card and search your deck for a Pokemon, but that Pokemon can only be a Psychic or Dragon type. Luke with the Acrobike, quickly discarding the Choice Band, obviously a no-brainer, really doesn't play a factor in this matchup. Shrine of Punishment doesn't play a factor either, but I think it's just a case of getting the dead cards out of your hand. He benches the Deoxys and passes. So no turn 1 Mars Shadow from Luke. We see the Fire Energy attached to Kyurem and a Nest Ball. Looking through his deck, looking at a couple of cards there. Nest Balls for Blitzel. Oh, a bit of a shuffling mishap there. It's round 4, I'm sure nerves are at its highest. People are starting to get tired, and still 2 rounds to go in this tournament. After this, of course, is Top Cut. We see Etienne pass. Bit of a slow start compared to his previous round. We see Luke bench a Malamar. It looks like we're going to be seeing a Psychic Recharge here to the Giratina. We see a Cynthia from Luke. I think Luke would want to be getting an escape board to get that Inkay out from the active, and an energy so he can take a quick knockout on that Kyurem and start shutting things down as early as possible to try and push for a game 3. Right, let's see what Luke gets from his 6. We see the skateboard, but no energy. But we do see a Marshmallow. So we might be seeing another let loose here. My goodness, the tongue twisters. Alright, so we see the skateboard attached to Inkay. We see a Spell Tag coming down to the Giratina. Skateboard to Deoxys for that nice free retreat. And it looks like Marshmallow is going to be coming down. I think we can stick to that. I think from this point going forward, all Marsh Shadows are Marshmallows. I think that is a a nice trade-off. So the spooky Marshmallow doing his let loose, both players shuffling their hand in and drawing 4 cards. Luke really hunting for that psychic energy. I think the pressure is well needed from him, and I think that it can really shut Etienne down, especially after let loose. So we see 1, 2, 3 and 4 and no energy. Unfortunately, Luke's just gonna have to take a break here. We see Luke retreat into the Mars Shadow and pass. Etienne's very confused as to where's the energy, why did you do that? Alright, the draw. We see a Nest Ball in Etienne's hand. So Etienne being able to get a little bit better of a setup here. So we see the Nest Ball eyeing out another Kyurem. Really feeling the pressure from Luke, trying to get set up as much as he can before the pressure is applied. We see Etienne's deck play Wishful Battens as well. Very interesting to see. Wishful Batten. It's a tool card, and if it's attached to an active Pokemon and that Pokemon is knocked out, it allows you to move 3 basic energy cards from that knocked out Pokemon to one of your bench Pokemon. So it really just keeps that Kyurem line flowing. Very nice card to see in this build. So Luke eventually gets his energy, attaches to the Giratina. If I remember correctly, he does have a Guzma in hand. We see a second Psychic Recharge, well, first Psychic Recharge, excuse me, to Deoxys. And yes, Guzma for the Kyurem with an energy attached to it. Still really applying the pressure to Etienne here. Etienne couldn't get much out of that turn. And we see the attack from Giratina. So the attack does 130, and it allows you need to put 40 damage somewhere, 4 damage counters somewhere on your field, and he opts to put it onto the Giratina itself. So the attack is Shadow Impact. So place 4 damage counters on one of your Pokemon. Obviously you don't mind with the Giratina being knocked out because of the fact that you've got the Spell Tag that's going to be doing damage, the Distortion Door coming back and doing the extra damage as well, really just adding that pressure with the constant damage. We saw a Guzma from Etienne really just in survival mode right now, trying to get out of things. Malamar having 2 retreat cost, really putting Luke in a situation that he can't get out of. We see Luke pass. Etienne draws for turn. And a pass. Seems like Etienne is stuck in Luke's role that he was in. Luke draws a dead card and Luke's gonna pass. We might see a Psychic Recharge. Yes, there is a Psychic Energy still. Psychic Recharge to Deoxy and a pass. Will we see something from Etienne? We see an energy, and will it be a pass? Luke hits an Acrobike. Will he get a Supporter? He gets a Lily out of that. Luke really not being able to cut down much. He's got a Choice Band, he's got a Rescue Stretcher, but there really isn't much for him to cut down. Will he opt for the Skateboard instead to get that Malamar out? Tough decisions for Luke here. It looks like he sticks with the Lily. So you see the Choice Band being attached to the Marshadow. There's no more energies left for any more Psychic Recharges. And we see a Lily for 2 cards. 1, 2. Ooh. The Skateboard would have been nice, but he's got a Cynthia for next turn. I'm sure we'll see the attachment to the active. No? He's gonna hope to get an Escape Board next turn rather, not commit. Alright, hoping for some good juju. Oh, and Etienne finds another Guzma, but I don't know if he's gonna be playing this one. He's showing the camera. This is the supporter he prayed for. I don't think so. We see a pass from Etienne and an Ultra Ball from Luke. So Luke can really get things moving now. Cut down his hand with some of those dead cards like the Shrines. We definitely know it's not going anywhere. Ultra Ball. Let's see if Luke can read my mind. We see Luke discarding the 2 Shrine of Punishments. I think closest to us is another Inkay, so he could add another Malamar. Yes, indeed. Really no need to shuffle here due to the fact that he's probably going to Cynthia after this. Are we going to see Luke evolve this last Inkay? No, he doesn't evolve the Inkay. Very strange. I think there was a little bit of a misplay from Luke. I think the frustration is kicking in. He really thought that he was going to wrap up this matchup a lot earlier, but Luke really digging hard for that Escape Board. Luke with a 6. 1, 2, 3. He finds a Skateboard, so he's definitely out of it now. He's out of the rough order. We're going to see him play an Acrobike first. I really think Luke should be playing as quickly as possible here to try and get into that game 3. But we do move on. We see Luke grab a Guzma from that acrobike. We see the skateboard. Retreats for 1 energy now into the damaged Giratina from earlier. Self-inflicted pain. We see a psychic recharge. He will be attaching it to the Deoxys. Deoxys now fully powered up. And we see the knockout on Etienne's last Kyurem with Shadow Impact from the Giratina. Etienne shows he's really got nothing, and we move on to game 3. So there's really nothing to learn from that game. I mean, both players played the game that they should have. Etienne really just didn't draw into anything exactly the way Luke did on game 1. So I really hope for you, the viewer's sake, that we'll be seeing a very fair game 3. Very evenly matched game 3 in any case. All the action from all of these games come from the Claremont Pokemon League at Battle Bunker in Claremont, across the road from Cavendish Square. We have league sessions every Saturday where you can learn to play, come trade, come have some fun with your friends. Casual play, there's no entry, and we have tournaments on the last Saturday of every month. And basically everybody gets a booster pack for attending. So it's really just about the players. We really just like to see people come out and do what they enjoy. We're all about Pokemon, so if anybody has any interest, come on down to the store, and one of the league leaders will definitely be able to assist you. Taking also this moment to, if you the viewer are trying to figure out what they are doing at the moment, so this is called a power shuffle, block shuffle. I'm sure there's other names for it that I'm not aware of, but I know there's a block shuffle. Basically after a game, it's actually quite good practice to try and do a block shuffle every now and again. Really just, it's a good way of separating all those cards from clumping. I mean, as we see in Luke and Etienne's deck, all of their Pokemon, all of their main attackers require 3 energies to attack. And it's all those energies, it becomes Pokemon energy, Pokemon energy. So it starts creating a bit of a clump, and that's just a really good way to separate everything. Just thought I'd bring that up while we're waiting for these two to start game 3. So Etienne's choice, I'm pretty sure he'll be wanting to go first. Etienne and Luke both find a basic Pokemon, so it looks like we'll be underway with round 3. Well, game 3 of round 4. Shake of hands, and here we go. Kyurem and Inkay. You see a bench Pheromosa and a Nest Ball. Etienne still struggling with a bit of clumping there. We see him take the Blitzel. See the fire energy attached to the white Kyurem in the active position. Wishful Baton and a Lily for 6. See a Rescue Stretcher, Ultra Ball, another fire energy. I think that might have been a choice band. Etienne really having the opportunity to set up as far as he can. Luke plays a very high count of Let Loose Marshadow in his build. I think it's 3 if I'm not mistaken, but we see the pass. So Etienne ended his turn with 8 cards in hand. I'm sure we'll be seeing a Let Loose from Luke this turn to try and disrupt what Etienne has started. So we see a Mysterious Treasure and an Ultra Ball. I'm sure Luke will be hunting down some Inkays. Etienne having a look at the promo Giratina from Lost Thunder. We see 2 Inkays bench from Luke. And a Let Loose. So Etienne's 8 card hand goes straight into the deck, really making himself a target there. I did see an Ultra Ball in his hand. I'm sure he could have played his hand down a little bit to make it look a little less a little less obvious that he's holding a lot in his hand. But of course Luke didn't have anything else in hand, so I'm sure we would have been seeing the Let Loose in any case. Really tight at this stage. I think both players are playing for a spot in Top Cut, so the game really does mean a lot. I may be mistaken, but at this point I think Etienne needs a win and Luke needs a draw to get into Top Cut. So we see the 4 cards, Luke hitting 2 energies, a Guzma and a Mysterious Treasure, so Luke can continue to set up. Looks like he's going to touch the energy to the Deoxys. We see Luke pass. Not really observing what Etienne got from his 4 cards. We see an attachment for turn. We see a Guzma in the hand there. It's just a case of Etienne deciding on who he's going to target down at the moment. We see the 30 damage and just passing. Luke gets down a Malamar. We see Distortion Door. 10 damage to both of Etienne's bench Pokemon. He has 1 Psychic Recharge available to him, and he's still got the Guzma and the Mysterious Treasure with another Psychic Energy in hand. So we see the Mysterious Treasure discarding the Psychic Energy, so I'm sure we'll be seeing a Malamar come out of this. We see the second Malamar. I would have suggested that Luke would have targeted a Marshadow instead, but his bench is already full. Luke really just making do with what he has right now. So now 2 Psychic Recharges available to him with the only 2 energies in his discard pile. So Luke touches both to the Giratina, and it looks like Inkay is going to be the pawn in the situation, and he passes. Etienne draws for turn. We see Kyogre being benched. It's really just decision time for Etienne right now to try and decide as to how he's going to deal with this scenario that he's in at the moment. So he just takes the knockout on the Inkay. He looks like he's also dead drawing a little bit. We see another Blitzel in his hand. Luke opts to promote the Deoxys with 1 energy attached. So we see the skateboard. So interesting. Luke could retreat, Psychic Recharge to the Giratina, then Guzma. Alternatively, retreat into Marshadow, but he must know that he won't be able to retreat again this turn. We see a Psychic Recharge to the Giratina. So he'll Guzma up the Pheromosa. And Luke being able to take the knockout, keeping his Giratina clean and choosing to damage the Deoxys instead. So right now Etienne's in a bit of an opportune situation. He could take the knockout on the Giratina if he gets a water energy, but he doesn't feel safe enough to do this. We see a Marshadow in Etienne's hand. He discards the Marshadow. So thank you, Luke, it's supposed to be on the bench. So we see a let loose from Etienne. Really just some great banter again between these two players. Right, so both players draw forward. Looks like Luke got a supporter. Cynthia in Luke's hand. Etienne plays down a white Kyurem. We see a wishful baton to that Kyurem as well. And a Lily for 5. Etienne attaches an energy to the white Kyurem and passes. So it looks like Blitzel's going to be the sacrificial lamb, yeah, on Etienne's side. We see a Guzma on Luke's side with an escape board. This is major. Although wishful baton's floating around, we see Luke Guzma up that white Kyurem and then the retreat on the Marshadow thanks to the escape board. Looks like we'll be seeing a Spell Tag attached to the Giratina. And he looks like he'll be taking the knockout with Shadow Impact, damaging himself with 40, knowing that that Kyurem on the bench is definitely going to be Kyurem or Kyogre is going to be coming up, but preferably Kyurem with the wishful baton. So Etienne gets to move those 3 energies as discussed earlier, and he needs to promote the Pokemon to begin his turn. He decides to promote the Marshadow. We see Etienne draw into another Kyurem. No energies for the Aqua Patches in hand. We see a Guzma on the Malamar on the bench. And looks like Etienne will be taking a knockout on that Malamar this turn. So obviously Luke and Etienne in very similar scenarios at the moment. Between Malamar and Giratina, Giratina is able to continually cycle, and with wishful batons it allows Etienne to continually cycle his energies and keep bringing up fresh Kyurem. So it really is, the cycles of turns look very similar for these two players. We see Etienne take the knockout on the Malamar. Things looking pretty square at the moment. Luke promoting the Marshadow. Sorry, Marshmallow. Shrine of Punishment being played again. Really not playing a factor in this matchup, but Shrine of Punishment between turns. All EX and GX Pokemon in play take 1 damage, while you place 1 damage counter on each of them between turns, the same time that you'd be doing poison and burn damage. We see a Cynthia from Luke with no hands, and Etienne's asking him, where's the celebration? Before playing the Cynthia, attaches energy to the Deoxys. He's showing thumbs up to the camera. Really nice sportsmanship from both of these guys. The Luke drawing his 6 from the Cynthia. And both players should be aware now that time is definitely running thin. I would estimate there's about 10 minutes left on the match. We see a rescue stretcher from Luke. Rescue stretcher allowing you to either take 1 Pokemon to your hand or shuffle 3 Pokemon from your discard pile into your bench. So he opts to take the Inkay straight down to his bench. No energies available for any psychic recharges for Luke. So we see a retreat into Giratina. And we should be seeing another Shadow Impact. And that we do, Shadow Impact. Luke has to damage another Pokemon with 40 damage. And he does it to the Giratina, really egging Etienne on to get rid of that Pokemon. Etienne looking as well. He's got no energies for Aqua Patches available. Etienne promotes the fully charged White Kyurem thanks to Wishful Baton. Wishful Baton. I've heard many different people. And another one. Really getting them streaming. We see a rescue stretcher from his side, and he opts to shuffle 3 from his discard pile into his deck. And we see a Nest Ball, and Etienne gets another Kyurem on his bench. You could really swear that he's playing the same sort of archetype as Luke with regards to really getting the Pokemon back into play, re-energizing them as the Pokemon are getting knocked out, keeping a steady flow of attackers. That's very interesting. Although this deck is rogue, a lot of water decks could play a similar build. I mean, you've got Aqua Patches at your disposal. You've got the constant, like, basic energy combination going around. Very similar to what Lapras GX was with Aqua Patches in the past. And Etienne being a avid water Pokemon player, you really see him really shining through with another Pokemon deck. Another water Pokemon deck, that is. So let's see what Etienne gets off his Cynthia. We see a Ultra Ball, discarding the Choice Band again, which is useless, and a Lily. And I wonder if Etienne will be going for Arceus or for Zeb Striker. Definitely Zeb Striker. Having access to the Sprint now, really getting a little bit more consistency out of his hand. So right now, the big difference between this matchup at the moment is it would literally take Luke 1 Field Blower to turn the tide on the match as to how it plays. Obviously, Luke only has 1 Psychic Recharge available to him at the moment, so it really hinders his ability to keep it flowing as it would with 2. But he does have a Deoxys with 1 energy, but he'll be falling 10 damage short with his second attack only doing 120, so he really needs another Malamar out. Luke gets to use his Spell Tag, and we see 10 to the active, 10 to the bench, Kyogre, and is it 20 to Kyurem, no, 10 to Kyurem and 10 to Zebstrika, really spreading the damage around. And of course, again with Distortion Door, it really does help him later in the game. We see him promote the Marshadow again as the free retreater. And it's draw for turn. He top decks the Malamar. That is really helpful. Of course, now it brings Giratina back into play again. With the energy in hand, it allows him to come straight back and attack. Really putting the work in here. So we see Distortion Door gets to damage 2 of the bench Pokemon, and he chooses Kyogre and Kyurem. We see him attach the energy from hand, and we'll see 2 Psychic Recharges to that Giratina as well. And we see the retreat. Choice Band attachment just to get rid of things, not leaving it open for the spell tag now. And 3 cards of the Lily. We see another Lily in hand there as well. A couple of other cards. Shrine, Energy. And there's the knockout on Etienne, and he gets to keep his energies again with Wishful Baton. And it looks like he'll be moving that to the other Kyurem. The one issue we can see here is Etienne is never having water energies in his discard pile at the moment. Maybe Ultra Ball in his hand there, or Sprint from the Zebstrika might actually help him to access his Aqua Patches, because right now he's relying on one Pokemon to continuously attack. We see Luke left on 2 prizes and Etienne is on 3. It really is 1 for 1, and it's going to take one opponent to deny a prize for this match to go any further than what it is. We see Etienne attach the water energy for turn, not discarding with the Ultra Ball, which I think I saw a Aqua Patch in hand. He definitely does have an Aqua Patch in hand. I'm wondering if that was a bit of a misplay from his part. Really just excited to see the water energy to keep things flowing here. And we see Luke not damaging the Giratina this time around. Very interesting, rather damaging the Malamar instead. A very interesting play by Luke. Obviously with Kyurem and Kyogre having more than enough to knock out the Giratina, or while Kyogre just enough, but Giratina would be falling to one of those Pokemon in any case. So very interesting tactic we see here from Luke. I'm sure time is going to be called shortly. We see Etienne knock out the Giratina. Obviously no spell tag this time, so a little less worry for Etienne. We'll see Luke promote the Marshadow again, really just sticking to his guns here. And a draw for turn. So we'll Luke just having a quick look there. We see Distortion Door. He's going to be putting 10 on the Kyogre and the Zebstrika. We see there's an energy in hand, so again we're going to be seeing the same flow. Acrobike for 2. He discards the Ultra Ball, keeps the Acrobike. We'll see another Acrobike for 2. Discards the Lily. He's got 1 in hand, and his hand is a little bit too big at the moment. So you'll see a manual attachment, 2 Psychic Recharges from Luke. And retreating into the Giratina. And the knockout on the Kyurem with no Wishful Baton this time. I think the Wishful Batons have run out. Luke going down to 1 prize. Really coming down to the last few moments in the matchup. Etienne promotes the Marshadow. You see an Ultra Ball here. Etienne discarding his energy recycle system there. Energy recycle system is similar to a rescue stretcher, but for energies you can either return one energy to your hand or shuffle a combination of 3 energies into the deck, and those are of course basic energy cards. Etienne could be eyeing down a bit of a dual splash tactic at the moment. He really needs to survive, knowing that if he knocks out the Giratina, he's going to be getting knocked out and losing the game. So he should be looking at an alternative to try and snipe a little bit, work around the damage. Really just trying to work around the Giratina, to be honest, and hoping that Luke doesn't have a Guzma in hand. So I would personally feel like the best bet here for Etienne would be to Guzma one of the Malamars and try and spread the love there. So we see an Aqua Patch to the Kyogre. Looks like he's loading up for a big attack here. He's got the Guzma in hand. He chooses the Malamar. And we see a sprint from Etienne, so he will be drawing 4 new cards. Attaching the Wishful Baton to the Kyogre. Wishful Baton really showing its colors in this matchup. He chooses to rescue stretcher the Kyurem back onto the bench. And it looks like Etienne's going to be dual splashing here. So we see 30 to both of the Malamars. Luke needs a Guzma now, otherwise it is basically game over. It looks like Luke's got the Guzma in hand. We see him Guzma for the Marshadow, and that is 2-1 to Luke. Obviously wrapping it up with the Giratina, who's definitely put the work in the whole time, but we definitely see Luke has got the game in the bag. Well done to Luke. So definitely Etienne definitely could have seen more out of the game by spreading that damage a little bit earlier. Obviously he was nullifying the Malamars in the first game and really taking it to him, but at the end of the day, that's just the way the cookie crumbled. Very well played by both players. Nice to see something a little bit outside of the meta every now and again, and Luke looks like he's definitely got his way to the top cut stages in the semi-finals, so it'll be very interesting to see what happens there. Thank you everybody for watching. Drop a like if you like the video again, and please subscribe to see other videos coming in the future. And again, thank you very much and good night.